Welcome back, everyone. Let's see. Okay, I'm ready. I didn't really have anything planned for today. I was just gonna kind of see the vibe, just kind of like what came to me. And honestly, I took a little look-see at some old notes and I got some ideas, but I kind of want to talk about emotions today. I feel like that's such a blanket topic, though. Like, what about emotions? And we're just going to talk about, like what they are. What's their purpose? Why we got all this happening? Why do we feel in such a spectrum, right? Why do we have so many? Okay, so emotions equal energy in motion. So subtle energy from our environment moves through our senses, right? We pick those things up via sight, touch, sound, taste, smell. That's how you're like perceiving your environment, right? And the messages being perceived by the environment are then translated, well, they're metabolized in our chakra energy systems, which exist here, 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 and then your bottom too. Chakra energy systems, if you don't know what they are, let's just call them like very strong, powerful points in your body where a lot of energy is created, right? Your brain, your visualization center, your imagination, your communication, your heart makes a loud sound. Just like think about loud. Your stomach makes loud noises, our reproductive organs make loud noises. So things that make a lot of energy, which is a lot of sound, they go they're hand in hand. So that's your chakra energy systems. And so then we metabolize the subtle energy from our environment in those systems. They then become masticated, like chewed up and understood through our body's functionings. And then it's translated into a logical message. Right? So, a couple things important here. Emotions are energy in motion. So, what does that mean about the motion of our own internal systems? What does that need to be like to be able to work properly, to work with the energy in motion? That means you need to be in constant flow and constant motion internally. Even when we're practicing stillness, we can be practicing energy in motion, visualizing moving energy throughout parts of our body, feeling our breath, being aware of things of that nature, the mindfulness of it. But then what causes our internal networking system for subtle energy reading, what causes it to not work is when we take away the motion aspect of the emotional energy, the motion. When we take the motion out of energy, we create stagnancy. Think of like a swampy pond with no movement, just stagnation. Right. So that's what happens when we hold on to an emotion. Okay? You following me? I feel like I'm not explaining this as well as I could. So we're gonna recap it a couple times, okay? So emotions are energy in motion. If you hold on to an emotion, you take away the motion and you create stagnancy, toxicity, toxic swamp, right? And that's going to start popping up in physical ways too. That's the bummer of it. Like, it's kind of a bummer. It's not a bummer because we need the physical manifestation of our stagnant emotions, or else how would we know that, if you're not well versed in it or don't have a very good connection with your emotions, you might need that. You might need to get a zit to understand that you're holding in an emotion somewhere, or you might need to get a sore throat or get a tummy ache or something like that. Those are just light physical manifestations but there's more. There's more. You could have brain fog, confusion, overwhelm, and feeling like you're going to explode or rip all your skin off. That can come from a solar plexus issue, which is like your shine, your confidence, and your personal power center. So when that's off, your sense of self, you can't think properly. Everything's confusing, right? Because knowing thyself unconfuses everything there is to know. So, what then are emotions? Back to that. The emotions are the subtle energy picked up from your environment, being translated through your chakra energy systems into understandable messages for our human body and brain. So, you're mad, okay? Enraged. That's a subtle energy message coming from your environment. Something caused you to be mad. Now, you invite this anger in as a guest, and you ask it, what's up? Why did that external thing, situation, experience cause you to come up? Why are you here? What do you need? What do you need? Now that anger is going to start talking to you about there's injustice. Okay? Anger is typically a sign that there's injustice. And there's also a sign that you are passionate about said injustice because you want radical change. That was weird. So it can be even like, I'm frustrated, I'm angry about something, but nothing happened in my external environment. That's a lie. Let's take a look. What did I do? Did I scroll too long on this? Am I having fulfilling moments throughout my day? Are there multiple purposes for me to be awake right now and alive? Right? We need to create purpose for ourselves. So that could be what's angering you. There's a lack of purpose, which is then an injustice to self. Because without purpose, there's no drive, there's no motivation, there's no motion. Everything's about motion. So that anger is righteous anger. It's showing you that you kind of messed up in this environment. What do you need to do differently? We need to take passionate change. We need to create passionate change. Okay, let's say someone else triggers or causes an anger emotion for you, right? You don't react off the anger. Watch, it comes in. You communicate with it. See what it's teaching you. Before, it was about self. It was, I didn't have enough purpose in my day. I was scrolling aimlessly. I was doing things mindlessly, which is an injustice to self. So what's the action, the proactive decision to eradicate that anger? Is purpose and fulfillment. So if someone else is, and then upon figuring that out, you then usher anger out. In, because it's energy in motion. Maintain the motion of emotion. So once you can let it go, then you come up with a plan. Now, for self, way easier. Now you just got a better daily routine of purpose, fulfillment. You know what you need. With other people, this now means that you need to create a dialectical conversation, right? I feel angry when, what's an example? When you make light or make a joke out of my pain, my experiences, my life, whatever. You make a mockery of me. But you don't want to use the word mockery, because then once people hear that, they're like, don't call me names. So you're like, I feel angry when you create lighthearted jokes surrounding my story of who I am, including my pain or the things that I've considered challenging or a struggle. Then they say, and then they don't say nothing yet. You go, I feel this way because the intensity of the journey that I've experienced, which you were not with me for, so you don't understand the density of said experience. So I forgive you for that. However, it was a dense experience for me. It was very struggling, trying, and difficult. And I'd appreciate that moving forward in our relationship, we try not to make jokes about that. Maybe I'm not in a place of healing to be able to laugh with you upon that joke, but I'm not sure about that yet because I'm in my healing journey. I don't know. This might evolve and change, but for right now, I am unable to accept comments of such nature. I appreciate your understanding, and I appreciate you as a friend, and I'm really glad I was able to communicate with this with you. Boom. That is anger. I know, right? You wouldn't know, because what do we usually associate anger with? But that's not it. Or you might associate it with stuffing it and then a lot of this. Do you see it? The jaw clenching? Yeah, that was me too. That's still aggressive. It's called passive aggressiveness. It's still anger, and it's not righteous. We do not embody our emotions. That's not what they're here for. They're messengers. They come in, you ask them why they're here, you figure it out, you go, okay, you take a little notey note, pop them along their way. This is what we want to do when we get an unfavorable emotion, which doesn't exist. You're placing that title on things. Eradicate that. All emotions are accepted and favorable, because all emotions are showing us messages from our environment and for ourselves. But we are using the reflection of our environment to change and heal and grow self, right? So when we feel what we label as an unfavorable emotion, we tend to hold it. We go, you ain't going nowhere until I can manipulate you into the emotion I want to feel. You're messing with nature now. Now you're messing with the natural flow of things, right? Because now you're taking away the motion, and you're holding it, and you're harboring it, and even though you keep trying to change the edges, the sides, and make it look like what you want it to look like, it's still not what you want it to be, and it is infecting your emotional body. It is infecting your nervous system. That's step one before you start seeing physical manifestations of harboring that emotion. Same even goes, though, for happy emotions. You want to hold on to it. You're so afraid. We get scared then at the end of the day, like, oh man, what's tomorrow gonna bring? Today was so great. Nothing can compare to today. Every other day that's not like today is the worst day. That's the opposite end. What happens when you hold on to happiness too much. Emotions are energy in motion. They are signals. They are red flags, green flags. They are however your mind's eye visualizes this process. Unfortunately, I personally feel the whole thing before attaching logic. So that's why me personally, I have to sit down and walk myself through that entire dialectical behavior conversation, that interpersonal communication effectiveness. And I use that template all the time because I feel it so deeply and so spot on that I will take action, quiet action though, and that actually ends up hurting the potential for having interpersonal connection because I'll feel it, I'll get the message, and I'll just be like, we're better off without. And that, where I'm at in my healing journey now, being 7-8 years in, that's not my goal anymore, to isolate, to stay hidden in this cave, to be out of fear, or the fact that, yeah, I don't want to approach dialectically the conversation, because it's hard or whatever. But if I don't, and I embody the emotions and let my emotions do the talking for me, it's not understood by anyone else, which is okay. That makes sense. We're all unique creatures. It makes sense to me because I can feel it. But then I need to be able to attach logic and words to that to be able to make that point understood. Yes, we're all intuitive. We're all spiritually gifted. But that cannot be utilized as an excuse for not explaining yourself. Because if we don't utilize this, we're not helping our other fellow man heal and grow either. That's why dialectical behavior therapy is so important. We need to be able to express. We need to be able to set boundaries vocally. We need to be able to utilize the emotional messages that we're receiving and create a reality out of them. Not just sense them and then say, all right, they can go, but you don't take any proactive change. You're just going to stay stuck and stagnant as well. I have a little thing up here. Oh yeah, if one of our energy systems is blocked with suppressed energetic debris, that comes from suppressing unwanted emotions or holding on to an emotion too long. Then the comprehension of the energetic message will be read through a filtered lens. Trauma, pre-programmed ideologies, attachment to ideas can cause a unique perspective on the translation of subtle energy. I wrote this, but let me explain my own writing because it can be more layman's term than that. When you have trauma, you've been hurt, been like bad, to a point where how you view things is different. Like, for instance, I think it'd be very important to pack pepper spray before going away to college. That's me. I would think of that before I thought about packing clothes. Why? Because of my personal experience being crammed into an area of a lot of peers, with a lot of people with a lot of shit out of your control, right? So my first thought, pepper spray. That's my experience from my traumas. Okay? Whereas another person, like I have a client right now, they're on their way to school in this fall, and her big concern is, do I have enough towels? I love that. I love that for you. But also, pack the pepper spray. But I'm glad it's not on the forefront of your mind. That's good. So the way she's perceiving the world is differently than how I'm perceiving it. That's a filter. I have a filter, a trauma lens filter. Now, becoming aware of that trauma lens filter, I'm able to see the world through both lenses. I can take my glasses off and I can put it back on. It's no big deal. You know, I'm not attached to them. I'm not unhealed to the point where I believe that this is the only truth. I know there's a lot of other ones. I know. But it's good to have the knowledge that I have. It's good. Don't become paranoid, but it's good. So that would be an example of a filtered perception. So, another example that when I read in this book, it's called The Pathway of Energy. They used an example of a man goes into a jungle to go hunting. He gets attacked by a tiger, and he lives. He survives the tiger attack. But he's demolished. He's like messed up, right? So he takes like 6 months to heal his shredded body, like a long road recovery, feeling vulnerable for 6 months straight. He goes back to the jungle, ready to hunt. He's ready to go. And he has a panic attack because it's not the tiger. He's now associating his experience with that of all of the jungle. So now he's triggered by seeing green leaves in any type of density, right? Now when he sees green leaves packed together, he is reacting as if this tiger is coming back to attack him. Filtered lens. It's a filtered lens. How do you remove a filtered lens? You have to do it scared. You've got to get back into the jungle and separate the leaves and the vines and the beauty that is the jungle from your personal experience. The jungle is not the tiger. The tiger lives in the jungle. He's a coincidence of the jungle. But you cannot now demonize all of the jungle. That's where his food comes from. That's where his survival is from. So that's what happens to us with like anxiety attacks. It's the same thing. That's the difference between a trigger and being offended. They're different. A trigger is the man being panicky and feeling like he's about to get re-attacked by a tiger because he saw a density of leaves. That's a trigger that's out of his control. That is triggering his nervous system to react in fight or flight based off of his personal experience. Now, someone could say something that could offend you. Someone, right? But that's not a trigger unless it connects back to a deeper memory, which will then eradicate and show you where you have a filter that you might not have known. So it's important. It's important to sit with these things and introspect and ask oneself, check in with the emotional message first before embodying and reacting, because what if you're just reacting based off of your trauma filter? And you know what? And if you are offended by somebody, someone offended you, don't say you're triggered. That triggered me. No, it's offensive. Don't offend me because offensiveness is disrespectful. You got 2 more chais after I communicated it once. 3 strikes, you're out. We playing baseball here. Like, we don't mess around. So there's a difference. And I believe that if we start to recognize separating our triggers from being offended as trauma survivors, trauma recovery people, we can then start recognizing it's not just always us and our trauma filter. Sometimes people are just being assholes. And what? We're not allowed to say anything? Light and love only? No. If you were offended, allow that to come in ask why it offended you. Ask yourself, why did that offend me? And if it brings you to a place of, something good, like it offends me because that's not who I am. And it feels like they believe that's who I am. And I'm offended now because of the lack of identity, the lack of a sense of self I feel around this person because of their comment. So you have that moment with yourself, even if it's got to be in the bathroom. You're like, all right, yeah, I didn't like that. It feels like I'm stripping my identity listening to somebody say things like that. So then you come out of the bathroom and you say to the person, hey, I didn't realize this before, but I feel offended by what you said earlier. And I feel this way because it doesn't really resonate with who I am as a person. And it makes me feel confused on that, a little bit like a lack of identity. And because of that, makes me feel like you don't know who I am. And I think that's what's truly offending me and upsetting me, is that I thought we were closer than that. I thought you knew me, deeper than that. And if that's not the case, then you know what? Maybe that's something we need to remedy. Maybe we need to have more one-on-one time. Maybe we need to, or if it's not worth it to you, you say then, I think this is a good time to recognize that we're both kind of going our own separate ways in this friendship. And that's okay. Right? That's fine. It's totally fine. No one's trying to hurt you. Maybe they are, but like not purposely. Like some people bleed on others when they have their own gaping open wounds, like these trauma filters. And they end up bleeding on people that are trying to just love them because they can't not see through that filter. They see the world as pink. They're seeing it purple. And there's nothing you can do to get them to see it pink. They have to go in and heal what's causing the distortion of purple. And that's what helps me practice the law of detachment. I'm not going to lie. Because I don't know your trauma. I don't know who hurt you. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what emotion you're holding on to and how long you've been holding it on. Like, I think about that often. Like, if someone, flips out and it doesn't match the scenario, I feel bad. I'm like, how long have you gone without expressing that emotion, without addressing that emotion? You just locked it up inside and let it poison you. Just poisoning you. And that's what I don't understand, why we have such a fear of expression, because what we really should be fearing is the lack thereof. The lack of expression is killing you. It's literally killing you. It's going to show up in your organs. It's going to show up on your skin. It's going to show up in your muscular system. If you don't address it mindfully, intentionally, it's going to in another way. It's going to get you sick. You're going to get physically ill. And then you cannot move until whatever. And even then, you're not going to realize that physical ailment came from the suppressed emotion, the energetic debris that you're housing in your body, like housing debris in an infected wound. We clean that out, right? We clean it out. So you might just think, oh, I'm just sick. Oh, I'm always sick. Such a bummer. No, actually. What caused your sickness? Look at it. What caused it? What stressors led you to this point? Yeah, common colds are common colds. People pass them around like it's candy, but you know what I mean? When you feel like you're sick out of no reason, like out of nowhere, nobody else has anything going around. It's not like that time for that, right? Or you just feel like crap, but you're not actually sick. Like you don't have a cold, you don't have a flu. You're just like, yeah, that's the debris infecting your energetic body. And what are you but not energy? What makes everything happen? Electrical impulses from your brain. So and guess what they do? They flow. They move. They shoot around all over your body. Movement. Manifestation is movement, man. So if you got debris up in there, you're messing with this flow now too. Emotions are tough. We really forget that they're a part of how we're supposed to interact with our environment and with ourselves. Emotions are tools. They're keys to locked doors in our mind. We've got lots of locked doors in there. And we're afraid. We're afraid to open them up and see what's behind the door. But you know what I did when you know what happened when I opened all those doors? Love. Love happened. Love. Those demons that I kept locked in cages, they just needed love. And I keep demonizing parts of my mind or parts of who I am, keeping certain parts of my mind compartmentalized for harboring what I'm afraid of. That's going to distract from living life. Let the demons out of the cages. Guess what? They're just you. They're just versions of hurt you. They're not here to hurt you. They just seem like that because they're angry in the cage or behind the locked door. Use the keys, unlock the doors, set them free, give them hugs so you guys can all get on the same page again, be one person again, and you can be filterless with your environment. Take it all in. Take it all in. Not distracted on those doors. Not distracted on keeping those cages shut tight. And because you still have to feed, those are versions of yourself. So it's all you in there. So if you demonize parts of it, then you're calling yourself a demon. And that's where you get the problem, the issue, where you're confused here. Like, who am I? Let the demons out. Hug them. Say you're sorry. Say it's okay. We got each other now. Like, it's all good. We're going to start feeling. We're going to feel to the capacity of what we need. And we're going to utilize emotions as messengers from now on. I'm not going to allow them to grow into the demons that they have in the past. Right. Oh, here's an example of what subtle energy is, too, for those who have never heard that term before. This is my favorite way of explaining it. You know, when you're like out at a cafe or a busy restaurant or even a supermarket or whatever, you're just around a crowd of people and you're not seeing this person, but you feel someone looking at you. You can feel that. So you like start looking around and you look around and you eventually find and you meet eye contact with that person and you're like, oh shit, someone was looking at me. That's subtle energy. And you metabolize that as someone's looking at me. But that's not what the frequency vibration was in the atmosphere that like hit you. It didn't, someone's looking at you. It was just the energy of that was felt. But the way that our minds perceive it after being metabolized is someone's looking at me. Like that sentence. See, you connected a subtle energy reading, which is kind of like psychic-y when you think about it, if you really pay attention to it. You recognize the subtle energy message and you connected it to logic and words immediately. That's the goal. And the more that we do it, that we do that unconsciously. The more we consciously work on things like that, the more you do this energy and motion thing, like as it's happening. Or you do what we did a couple episodes ago I talked about, where you kind of soak in all your experience for the day, but you're kind of busy and you're not introspecting them as they're happening. So there's just the pile of confetti that you have to go through later and put the little pieces of paper together to create the message. That's fine too. It's the awareness though of the fact that you have to do that is like the goal. The goal is to recognize that these emotions are not who you are as a person or even how you should be responding to the situation. They are messengers to tell you to kind of sit and figure it out with your prefrontal cortex, your logic mind, your wise mind. That's mindfulness, utilizing the wise mind for said thing. let's one more time. One more time, we'll go over the steps of mindfulness because I just feel like it entered so perfectly here. Core mindfulness skills. Goal is to increase awareness of the present moment without judgment and decrease cognitive confusion or disassociation. What skills? You observe, describe, and participate. How? Non-judgmentally, one mindfully, effectively utilizing wise mind. Attend to inner wisdom, balance thoughts with feelings to find a grounded certainty. You have to do all these steps before you embody an emotion. You should never really embody emotion. Like, why? You don't really have to, honestly. You can feel it, let it go, and then just like present from a place of gray, not black nor white, just, hey, here we are. This also plays into this monk that I watched a video explaining this once. And he had said that everything in life is like a pendulum. Right? I don't have a pendulum or anything to show you this, but here, this bag. No, that doesn't work. Whatever. It's a pendulum. It's highlighter. So when you don't like something, like an unfavorable emotion, just anything you don't like, you push it away. Right? You're like, meow. But what happens when you push a pendulum? Right? So if you push it away from you, it'll eventually come back to you and affect you even closer than the avoidance of it. Now, if you get really excited about something and you pull it in really close, what's the eventuality of that? Swinging farther away from you, becoming less attainable because of the energy of mine. So, keeping everything here, right here, it's all good to do that. That doesn't mean I don't feel excitement. It doesn't mean I don't get happy and have like my little moments of whatever. I'm not a monk, I'm not clean and serene all day long, like whatever. But I do this with big things, right? With especially uncertainties. Like, I no longer get super excited for an event because you utilize your energy through the emotion of excitement, and you're holding on to that excitement for so long, it's plaguing your body because emotions need to be in motion, even good ones. So by the time the event comes, I typically feel like shit if I get too excited, right? I don't know about anybody else. So you can look forward to something, be excited, sure, but I'm not embodying that excitement. I am not becoming excitement. That's energy preservation. That's energy protection. Like, I need to keep everything right here, man. Right? Right here. Because then things can come, go. Things can be messed up. And that's fine. Because I didn't embody emotion of excitement. That's too much. Like, what you really want to embody is the fact that you're the stillness of a lake. A lake still has an underwater, usually a river, spilling into it from somewhere. A creek, a stream, whatever. You might not see it right away because it's still and it's underneath, but there's always movement in a lake. In a pond, that not necessarily needs to have running water to it, but that's the difference between a lake and a pond. So try and be more like a lake, a body of water so large it appears still, placid enough that you can see who you are in the reflection. You never lose who you are to an emotion. You are still you, and you still want to respond based off of the values and morals that you hold value of or importance of. So keep that lake placid enough that you can maintain an anchor to who you are. And if you don't know who you are, sit by that lake long enough, you'll figure it out. And that's that solitary motion of looking at self. And once that lake starts to become tumultuous and stormy and ripply, you're not seeing yourself as clearly anymore. And you're responding to the you're reacting to the environmental situation and not necessarily responding from a place of who you are. Who you are. You are not your emotions. You are not your frustrations. You are not your traumas. You are not your job. You are not anything but who you are without doing anything. The thoughts you think when you're alone, the moments you have with self. Don't lose that to an emotion. Let's see if anything else I wanted to. I have some examples down here. Here's another example for when you sense somebody's looking at you. Recognize your own thoughts on that. Because you could be thinking like, I wonder if they think my outfit's weird. Or, ew, I hope they're not going to hit on me. Or, I feel really sexualized and uncomfortable. Those are all valid responses. Yet, they are determined by an unhealed experience, an attachment. Why? Because you do not know that's why they are looking at you. But if you are creating a narrative more than just the facts, what this says, mindfulness, stick to the facts. If you start creating a narrative that is based off of, when you think about it, imagination, your personal experiences from your past, and you're mixing them with the present, that's imagination. You're making it up, and you're creating this narrative. That's when you can catch yourself and recognize I'm acting from a place of unhealed experience, trauma, or unhealed parts of self, or unhealed solar plexus with my confidence and personal power. If you don't label it though with narrative, you label it with fact. Someone's just looking at me, and then you ask them, "Hey, what's up? Why are you looking at me?" See what happens. Do it happy. Just have fun with life. I did that recently. This guy was looking at me too much. So I was like, what do you want from me? And we all just started cracking up. But seriously, what's going on, bro? It's fun. You don't have to just be like, he probably wants to have sex with me. Sure, maybe that is what he's thinking. But relax. Relax. Stick to the facts. What do you actually know? Not based off of your previous situations. Unless you start to feel something that's like, oh shit, this is dangerous. That's different. But not everything is dangerous. The grouping of leaves is not dangerous. It's just because that man got attacked by a tiger in the jungle. So the leaves seem threatening to him now. And that's an us problem. It's not everyone's problem. That's an our problem. It's not fair, and it's not your fault what happened to you. But it is your responsibility to heal it. I know. It's why? Because this is what's going to help you become the highest version of yourself. This is your personal experience. It's meant for you to heal and overcome. Because once you heal and overcome it, you become the next level of who you are, the next level up, just that much closer to fighting the boss level at the end kind of thing. So that's why, it does seem unfair. Because it's I didn't cause this. I didn't go seeking it. I didn't go looking for this trauma. Right. But it was meant for you. I know that sounds terrible. Just hear me out. It was meant because there is something about your unique wiring system that this experience, upon overcoming and healing it, is going to transform you into a completely different being of awesomeness. Untouchable. It could provide you purpose. It could reveal your path. It could also offer you a destiny. There's so much. Negative and positive both need to exist in this reality for us to thrive. Everything is positive, negative, duality, night, day, sun, moon, winter, summer. Like, it's just how it all is. So how can we place stigmas of bad or good when it's all just meant for us? Right? So nothing's unfavorable. I mean, as a human being it is. But like, energetically, it's all good. Just take the time to process, to sit. Compare all of your past experiences with the one that's happening right now. Go ahead. See if they relate in any way. I call that the mark, map, and move technique. I'll talk about that. I'll write that down. That'll be tomorrow's topic. I'm getting better at this. Right. So then you can introduce a healing moment when you do things like this. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to take your time. It's okay. No one thinks less of you. No one's even thinking about you. It's like a sad thing to think, but it's also very empowering and helps you get over a lot of shit. Because like no one cares. They're just la-di-da-di-da. So it's up to you to not la-di-da. And set some rules here. Set some boundaries. Set some expectations. But all from a place of placid lake. Okay? Placid lake. I'll even I'll feel it all. I'll take a break. Fuzzy blanket around my head. And then I come back and I use the dialectical behavior therapy expression line. The little, I feel blank. I feel this way because. And then what do you need from that? That's something also, it's called Dear Man. Describe the current situation. Little one of these. Describe the current situation. Stick to the facts. This is like mindfulness in motion. Express your feelings and opinions about the situation. No assuming. Assert yourself by asking for what you want or saying no clearly. Reinforce, reward by explaining positive effects of getting what you want or need. This is it, man. So this is what follows the mindful observing, right? Okay? And the in touch with self. So, I love this shit. I feel so much more capable in life because I have this. And I don't need to use this every day. I'm a very solitary creature. But I practice it often. And just knowing these things and knowing that I have that sense of self makes the rest of everything else a lot easier. Helps keep the placidity of your lake. Placidness? The lake placidity? It just helps keep everything kind of calm in there. Because, knowing yourself helps. All of yourself. I want you to know every part. The deep, the dark, the scary. Accept it. Love it. It's all good. You can still, evolve and change, but you still have to start by accepting what you're not trying to look at. All right. We're doing great. We're healing. We out here. It's springtime. The weather's finally getting better. Ooh. Not that it was bad before. Winter has its pluses. There's a lot of stillness and reflection and healing that happens in the winter, which is great because it sets you up for the thriving embodiment of spring and summer, where you're on the move. So do your reflection in the winter, get your motion in the spring, summer. But even through acts of stillness, your motions, you're moving the energy around you. Even when I'm sitting like this, everything's moving still. You can sense that. So just recognize that. Even when you're still, energy is still in motion. Okay, cool. Emotions equal energy in motion. Have a great day, everybody. Comment below if you want any elaboration, or if you'd like any additional things, or just a different topic, whatever. Feel free. I love to interact. Let's do it. Have a great day, everybody.